Hey, travel nurses. It's still tax season, and many of you may have already filed your taxes. If you found that your tax bill is a heck of a lot larger than you expected it to be, or perhaps you received a large refund, it's probably because your tax withholding is off. Today might be the most valuable video that I ever record for you guys because today I'm going to show you how you can estimate the right amount of taxes to be taken out of your paycheck every week or bi-weekly so the IRS doesn't get any more than what they're owed and you get to keep as much money as possible in your pocket. Let's do this. All right, so here we are at the IRS Tax Withholding Estimator. This is a really simple tool that's going to get you from A to Z pretty quickly. The only information you need in order to do this as accurately as possible is you need the final pay stub from every single assignment or job that you've held in the current year, the final pay stub. And I will tell you why you'll need that later, but the final pay stub for every assignment that you've had in the year, as well as you need the details of the assignment that you're about to begin, right? The hourly rates for the assignment that you're about to begin. All right, so let me walk you through here. At phase number 1, we're talking about filing status. It's going to ask you what status you're filing as. Let's just pretend that we have a nurse here that's single, and then it will go on and ask if somebody else can claim you as a dependent on their tax return. We're going to say no. And then it'll ask if you yourself have dependents that you can claim on your tax returns. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm saying no. We're pretending as if it's a single nurse out on the road by themselves. And then it starts to ask about income. Will you hold a job that you're going to have taxes taken out of? Answer is yes. And here's an interesting part, right? So how many jobs do you expect to hold this year? What you don't want to do is estimate that, I think I'm going to have 3 assignments, because that'll be inaccurate. You won't know the details. You won't know the details of that assignment, those future assignments. You won't know, honestly, how much money you will be making throughout the year. So what we're going to do, and this is what makes this really pretty special for travel nurses, is this is an exercise you'll want to do with every new assignment you take on. So let's just pretend this is the first assignment that you're doing for this year, the first assignment, the first job. If you've had a previous staff job within the year, and then you start a new assignment, you'd want to include that as well. But let's just pretend this is the first income you're making at the beginning of the year. So we're gonna say so far that you have 1 job that you're expecting to hold this year. And then it'll ask pension stuff. You're not retired. If you don't have any disability pensions or anything like that, you can skip that. And then it asks the question, are you going to hold this job from January to December? We're going to say no, right? Because most of the assignments are 8 weeks here, 13 weeks, maybe more if you extend. And so then it's going to ask you the dates of the assignment or the dates of the job that you expect to hold. So let's just say March 1st, because it's March right now, to May 31st, okay? And then it will ask the frequency that you're getting paid at, right? So if you're paid biweekly, put that in. If you're paid weekly, put that in. I'm going to put in weekly. And this is why your pay stub is important, because it's going to ask the date that your most recent pay period ended. So I'm going to pretend that was the 26th. That's the previous Friday. And based on my calculations that I've made on that current assignment, right? Let's say that, I am getting charged at $55 an hour, times 36 hours in the week. So that's $19.80 times 13. All right. So let's say that this assignment is going to gross me on the taxable portion, right? You're not putting in the tax-free stipend because that's tax-free. So we only want the portion of your income that's taxable. So let's say it's $25,740 over 13 weeks, okay? And then it'll ask you questions about whether you received a bonus or whether you expect to receive a bonus. That typically is not applicable for travel nurses, so far as the experience that I've had. And then it's going to ask you to use your last pay statement to enter how much money, how much federal income taxes has been withheld year to date. So you're going to have to take a look. Each statement will tell you there'll be a taxes withheld section where it will show the Social Security or Medicare or federal income tax that's been withheld. And so you want to look at the section that says year to date, right? So let's just pretend on the year to date, you've had $1,000 withdrawn. And then pay per pay period, let's say it was 200, whatever. And then it's going to ask questions whether you have access to a retirement plan like a 401k, 403b, 457, something like that, that you'll be contributing to with your agency. Now, this is, you don't put in information about IRAs or Roth or traditional IRAs, something personal like that. This is for employer-sponsored plans. So let's just say you are on the move type nurse. You never stay at one agency long enough to have a 401k. So we're going to say no. And then again, it's going to ask whether you contributed to an HSA or FSA. Again, this is specifically talking about if it was sponsored by the employer, not if you personally held them through your own brokerage. So we're going to say no here, and we're going to click next. And then it's going to take you to an adjustments to income page, right? You can click see adjustments and see if anything, any of these things apply to you, whether you have student loan interest that you can deduct. This is if you were a teacher, and this is where you can put in information that is personal, right? So let's say you had a deduction for contributions to an IRA or an HSA, you could put it there. So let's just say none of that applies to us. So we're going to go to the next step just for the sake of time. And then you have the option of itemizing your deductions. With the Tax Cut and Job Acts, I've done a lot of tax returns year to date for travel nurse clients, and none of them so far has had enough personal expenses to deduct. That may change in the future with new legislation, but for right now, for the most part, the standard deduction is going to give you your biggest bang for your buck. In this current tax climate, that's going to give you $12,400 if you're single, and it's going to double if you're married. So we're going to take the standard deduction, and it's going to take you to tax credits, so you can see whether any of these tax credits, whether they apply to you. Fill in the information as applicable. Move on to the next, and now you're at your results. Now, based on this, it's saying that the expected withholding for this assignment is $2,800, and that your anticipated obligation, like what you should owe based on making this money, is only $1,382. So it's saying that you've overpaid in taxes, or you will overpay in taxes, $1,419. Here's the super cool part. Then there's this slider here that you can slide and adjust. Let's take it as zero, that you want zero refund, tax refund, right? You want all the money in your pocket that you can have at the time that you receive your pay. Now, here it's saying that if you look at this box, it's saying that because of our inputs, this is not achievable. So sometimes you might have to actually move it up where you receive, a small refund, or there's a small, a tax owed, because this is an estimation. The numbers that we put in, we pretended as if like there was no overtime, but it's hard for you to know whether they're going to call you in for overtime and how many hours of overtime you're going to be working. So we always plan on the information that's guaranteed, right? The regular hourly rate for the period of time that we're working. Things may change, and this is why it's important to do this for each new assignment, because if you took a look at the paycheck from your previous assignment, the last paycheck from your previous assignment, and it showed that you earned more money because of overtime or what have you, time and a half being on call, more money than the income that we estimated that you would earn on your next W-4 Withholding Estimator, you would put that information, how much you've earned year to date, how much in taxes has been taken out year to date. And then based on that information and then the new information for your next assignment, it will tell you how much you should be withholding from that new set of paychecks. Okay, this is what's really cool about here. Back to this. So now we have a refund of approximately $50, right? It shows you exactly how to adjust your withholding. If you click this plus button here and you scroll down, it will say, based on all of this, based on being single or married, filing separate, or what have you, that you just need to enter this number into the credits and other deductions for annual withholding line on your W-4. Now, a lot of you just get sent a link, whether it's to Workday or another HRIS system, and you have to manually put in that number. But for those of you, if you're still working with the Form W-4, check this out. You click this, and it's already filled out in the appropriate box, right? And this is the amount that you need put in the credit section in order to get the withholding that we just estimated. Of course, you'll have to put in your name, your address and all of this stuff on top. But that number, that's where you get it from, okay? And you just do this for every single assignment that you do throughout the year. And that way, as you earn money, you're not withholding any more or any less than you actually need to withhold throughout the year. You can go down here and also adjust any of these numbers as necessary. Dealing with the IRS can be extremely stressful, but I'll tell you one thing about the IRS. They make it very easy for you to give them their money. So they give you all these tools in order to find out how much money you owe and how to pay them. My suggestion is that you don't pay them more than they deserve, right? So you want to keep as much money in your pocket as possible every paycheck. You don't do that by just claiming exempt if you don't have exempt income. You do that by only withholding the amount of money that's due on your taxes. And this tool is a wonderful tool to do that. I hope you've learned from this. It's a little bit time consuming, right? If this is something you've got to do at the beginning of each new assignment. This is something that I do for my my travel nurse clients. They send me in the details of their new assignment, and they send me in the last pay stubs of their previous assignments. And I do this calculation for them. I give them the number, and they submit it to their HR department for the appropriate withholding. But this is something you absolutely can do on your own, and it could save you a lot of heartache when it comes tax season, so you're not owing a huge tax bill at the end of the year, and you're also not receiving a huge tax refund, which is only a free loan that you're giving to the federal government.